Well, first, Stephen McKinney, the Pineville man who was accused of locking himself in the bathroom with a child, pleaded not guilty at his arraignment this morning. He was arrested back in May of this year and faces charges of simple kidnapping and indecent behavior with a juvenile. News Channel 5 learned through a relative of the child that the alleged victim is a 10-year-old girl. We also confirmed through police and Louisiana College that the suspect, Stephen McKinney, worked a part-time security job at the college. He has since been fired. A pretrial has been scheduled for November 14th.
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 10:47. Members of the panel today are Ms. Bonnie Jackson, Mr. Pete Freeman. My name is Tony Marabella. I'll be the chair today. Our remote location this morning is at Webster. Would the staff at Webster please introduce themselves?
I'm Deputy Holloman, sirs and madams. I am the audiovisual deputy for the Dorsey Correctional Center.
Thank you. Is there anyone else there?
I was going to say Mr. Jason would be here, but I believe he's in Bossier today.
Okay, thank you. Our first case today, or perhaps our only case today, is Mr. Stephen McKinney. Mr. McKinney, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Yes, Stephen Romello McKinney Redmond, DOC number 007442207.
Mr. McKinney, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll allow the participants who've indicated that they wish to have input to speak. Today, we have one person speaking in opposition today. At that time, we'll allow that person to speak, and once that is accomplished, at the end, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir, I understand.
This is a matter of Stephen R. McKinney, DOC number 744207. Mr. McKinney's date of birth is October the 10th of 1994. He's classified as a first felony offender. His parole eligibility is August 9th of 2021. He is not eligible for good time. He has a full term date of June 1st of 2023. He is currently serving a 5-year sentence on the charges of simple kidnapping and indecent behavior with a juvenile. Mr. McKinney, is all of that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kinney, your case has been assigned to Ms. Bonnie Jackson. Ms. Jackson will begin to do our interview process. So would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Jackson?
Good morning, Mr. Kinney. My name is Bonnie Jackson, and I'll be starting the questions for the board. You're 28 years old, is that correct?
No, ma'am, 27.
27, all right. And you've been in almost 4 years or around 4 years on this charge?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was a simple kidnapping and indecent behavior with a juvenile, and it occurred at a school, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're an employee at the school, a custodial employee at the school.
Yes, ma'am.
Juvenile was a student at the school, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
How do you know she wasn't a student at the school?
Because she wasn't age eligible to be in college.
You what?
She wasn't the age eligible or appropriate age to be in college. Where I was.
What school were you working at?
Louisiana College.
Oh, okay. All right. So she was She was not old enough to be in college.
Yes, ma'am.
And you ended up in a locked bathroom stall with her,
Yes, ma'am.
and you are alleged to have made some sexually suggestive comments to her while you were in that stall. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I could tell from the record, there was no actual touching between the two of you. You didn't touch her and she didn't touch you, but you made some sexually suggestive comments to her. Is that basically accurate?
Yes, ma'am. That's accurate.
What, okay. I see that you have taken sex offender 1 and 2.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Are,
accurate.
are you involved in phase 3?
No, ma'am. We actually took the 4 phases already. It was a year program, actually.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying.
I said, we actually took the whole 4 phases this past year. It was a year program. So we had to take 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
So you have completed all 4 phases?
Yes, ma'am.
I only have an indication that you had done phases 1 and 2. What was your completion date? What year did you complete the final phase of sex offender treatment?
February 25th of 2022.
Okay, so you just finished it this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me what the main focus of that treatment was and what you got out of it personally.
The main focus was actually first to be able not to be in denial, to admit the wrong, and not only admit the wrong, but to have, we say, empathy towards the victim and how the victim felt, and also how I felt in that same situation. And then after, to be able to forgive and move on and to have the mindset to want to better and not to reoffend. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what did you apply to yourself personally from that?
Actually, everything, just being in denial, and trying to justify the situation or trying to put the blame on someone else. I've learned to admit the wrong. I've learned actually to just accept the fact that what I've done was wrong and how I'm looked at now, perceived. It shouldn't affect me, but it should make me want to do better. It should make me want to get my mental stronger, so I've actually, overcame and forgave myself. At first, I didn't forgive myself. I hated myself, but now I'm just going through the process that helps me open up to want to do better, and just stay determined and motivated and not to want to go back, but look forward.
Well, I'm glad to hear you talk about denial because as I read your statements that were made initially, it sounded like a whole lot of denial.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm glad to see that you progressed beyond that. That's encouraging. I also saw that you went to Stephen Hoyle.
Yes, ma'am. Great program.
How long were you at Stephen Hoyle?
It's a whole year.
So you stayed the whole year at Stephen Hoyle?
Yes, ma'am. The whole year program.
9-month program?
Actually, it was a full 12 months because they had the drug also, and they had the empathy and self-awareness and, living in balance. So they put the whole 12 together. So it's 12 months.
How did you end up at Stephen Hoyle?
I wrote a young lady from DLC, Miss Washington. She does the calculation of time. And I didn't really understand the time that I was doing. I heard from my lawyer that it was, you're going to do this many months and then go home until I found out it was a 4 or 5 years. So I wrote her about it, and I didn't know the class exists, but I'm thankful for it. But all of a sudden, that next week of 2020, I was getting shipped. 2021, I got shipped to Claiborne and came to the Steve Hall program. So that's how I found out. I didn't even know no research. I didn't even hear about it. It was strictly came to the place, the jail and the program. And they're like, hey, this is what you're here for. It can better you. And you've been chosen. So it was a blessing.
So you said that Steve Hall was a great program.
Yes, ma'am.
In what way? What did it do for you?
Because I actually had a drug problem also, you know, so the sex offender problem, you know, they took care of that, but they also have the drugs. So just saying, just more knowledge on the drug and what it done towards me and my decisions on doing it. So I can't blame the drug, but it's just, it helps me with that also. It helps me with empathy because growing up, I didn't have really empathy or sympathy really, you know? So just all that together, man, really opened my mind, you know, with the basic and foundation of, you know, Jesus Christ and giving my life to the Lord. So all that just together combined was a big, huge success and blessing. So I really appreciate the program.
What was your situation with drugs before you came to prison?
My goodness, addiction to marijuana. And also I wasn't a big pill guy, but if I didn't have marijuana, then maybe muscle relaxers, maybe ibuprofen, maybe promethazine pills, you know, that kind of, I used that just to, you know, just to keep it down if I didn't have the marijuana. So but marijuana was a real bad addiction. I tried to stop twice, actually stopped once. And the moment I got right back on, it just seemed like it just couldn't stop.
How old were you when you started using marijuana?
I started 19, but I ended up stopping early. But when I hit the age of 21, it continued over until I went to college. So that's 21 years old was fully, but 19 is when I tried it.
Where did you go to college?
Louisiana College, the same place I had, you know, got arrested.
And how long were you there as a student?
For a whole year, actually. When May came, that was the end of the semester. May 30th, I got arrested.
I see. So you were a student at the time?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a student and a custodial worker.
Okay. And what was your intention to study?
Actually, I want to do mass communications. I was really open to PR, but my main goal was to be in how can I put it, politics. I always had a dream of being a governor or a mayor, a civil rights leader, but I didn't know exactly what to take. I just knew mass communication was kind of a pusher. So I went on that in Convergence Media.
I also see that you took Thinking for Change. Was that at Steve Hoyle, or where'd you take that?
That was actually at another jail. That was DC3 in Alexandria. That's a program I took way before Steve Hoyle.
And what did you get out of Thinking for Change?
Man, just stronger thinking, you know, seeing myself and, you know, my thought process, being aware of the negative emotions or the thoughts I have towards people myself. You know, I was taught, especially from that program to Steve Hoyle, that, you know, in order to do better, you have to see yourself. You know, you have to change your thinking. There's no way I can want to do better. There's no way I can want positivity, but my mindset is negative. It just never works for me, I've seen. So just thinking better, you know, think before I do something, having a control of my impulses. So that really helped me, you know, with brainstorming and just think before I do things, you know. So that was real nice for me also.
Just from listening to you, it sounds like going to prison was probably one of the best things that happened to you.
My goodness, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have, and I hated it, but I needed it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I told my mother, she was like, "Man, I'm so sorry this happened." I said, "Well, you know, Mom, I hated it too, prison, but it was a big eye opener. Just seeing what I prayed for, you know, the college, about to go here, and it's been taken away from me from my own actions. That really hurt it. Like that really hurt real bad, man. And it was hard, man. It was hard to shake back from it, man. But I thank the Lord. I thank the program. So it really was an eye-opening, a big one.
It sounds like, you know, some people sit in programs and other people, you know, absorb what's being taught. And it sounds like you were one who took in
Yes,
they were offering you, and that's encouraging. How do you think your your crime impacted the girl, the young girl in this case?
Think about it daily. I know it impacted very big because it wasn't like I just met her. I just so happened to hop on the scene. I knew her brother. Her brother wanted to be a police officer, and he wanted to play basketball. Well, the school, I was playing basketball also in the gym, but I was security. So just building that trust with him and building that trust with her, it wasn't like I was foreign, So I'm sure that hurt her, just her period, just from trusting people. Now make her second guess. Now probably make her look at men as in, the guy who, did this, the guy who, put me in this type of position. So, and then just for her being young, man, I just imagine it just hurting her emotionally, scarring her mentally. Just even though physical hurts, when you hurt someone emotionally and mentally, that's something you can remember, and that can trouble you for the rest of your life if you don't get help, if you don't overcome. So I know I've hurt her way worse, but I'm actually encouraged about my life because the day I had pretty much took my time, the mother said that she wanted her to tell me that she forgives me. And that really touched and I really cried because for her to be that young and to come to a point where she forgive that early, that just shows me how strong she is and what type of strength that I need to build for myself to forgive myself. So
Let's talk about your transition plan. If you were fortunate enough to be released early, what are your plans? One, let's talk about your plan for sobriety. What do you think to do in order to, you struggled with marijuana, you tried to kick it a few times and you weren't successful. So what's your plan if you're released to maintain your sobriety?
honestly, church, I've been called to the ministry, and I know as being a minister or upcoming in church, whether that's ministering, whether it's pastoring, you can talk it all day, but the action has to show no matter who you are. You have to walk it, you have to live it. So being of a sober mind, and having a mindset where I don't want to go back to jail, that if I don't care if I'm around the marijuana, being a convicted felon, that can cause me to go back, and I don't want to. So just moving and being in a different environment, having an adequate support system around me is something very important. I feel like church, in my belief, in my mindset, that's going to help because there's people who's been through it and there's people who haven't, but they've dealt with people who have. So just having that help and that encouragement, that foundation of people around me who can encourage me still and say, hey, you made a mistake, but you don't have to live like that no more. You don't have to go back. Hey, keep on moving, keep on going. So church is the first and foremost. I love my family. Don't get me wrong, but it's church. I don't know what's going on with them, but I know the church family is something that's really on my mind. It's on me heavy because that's what got me through.
Have you been a part of any AA or NA groups since you've been incarcerated?
No, ma'am. The only thing was the Steve Hope program dealing with that drug class. That was the only thing.
Do you think it would be beneficial to you to help maintain your sobriety if you were in a support group? Church is great, church is wonderful, but do you think it would help to be part of an AA group and then have a sponsor?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, I think, if AA is going to help, then sure. I don't mind, the help. My thing is I don't know it all, and of course I need to be watchful and be vigilant of everything. So if that was promoted, that was what I had to do, I'd do it with open arms with smile and soak in just like I soak up, the knowledge from the Steve Hall program. So if that's what's on the table, if that's what's needed, if that's what's given, hey, I'm all for it. Even if it's not given, I'm still willing to get around some of those type of people who overcame and having my circle regardless, because whether with it or without it, an adequate support system is definitely needed, especially a clean one, I would say, clean from drugs and that type of life. So yes, I don't mind.
What about employment? Do you have any specific plans for employment?
Well, I actually thought about construction. I got a NCCR and an OSHA 10 back in the past, but I'm actually just being released and hopefully, to grant it, I'm open to any job. You know I have to go through the parole officer or go through the police officer to see what job I'm able, because I can't just work any job. So, but I've been blessed to be able to catch on and work on my hands. So I think it's as far as employment, I really like dealing with people. I don't mind being in the field, the oil field. I don't mind being, I don't care if it's in the desert. Long as income, and long as I can build up and make a career out of it. That's what I'm seeking for, is career. 9 to 5 is fine, but I do want to move up. I don't just want to stay just a worker all my life. So,
Have you had any jobs while you were in prison?
no, ma'am. Actually, not.
You've always been in local facilities.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Have you ever been to a DOC facility?
From the ones I guess the ones I've been to, you can call them DLC, yes. DC3, DC1, and I've been here in Claiborne. It's the only 4 places I've been. So, yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you tell us anything about Mr. McKinney, officer? Can you tell us, you have anything?
I was waiting to see if I had received any other information from Mr. Johnson, and I hadn't, but I haven't had to deal with Mr. Stephen on any kind of disciplinary matters to the betterment of my knowledge. So if he's completed his courses and they have that paperwork, then that's I'm assuming that's good. But I haven't seen any negative behavior.
You don't really have much information about him because you haven't had to deal with him.
No, ma'am, I haven't had to deal with him much, so that's usually a positive.
How many write-ups have you had, Mr. McKinney, over the last 4 years?
I'm blessed with 0. None at all.
I'm glad to hear that. Ms. Marabella, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. It's been questions. Now we'll hear from Ms. McNulty.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you, ma'am. If you would just introduce yourself and tell us what it is you'd like us to know.
My name is Sarah McNulty. I'm the mother of the victim. Sorry. I want to go back to the statement that he made when he was talking about my daughter, about how he stole the trust from her. My daughter is a very loving and trusting young little girl. She thought the world of everybody, very trusting, would do anything that anybody suggested. She was very gullible. When McKinney approached my daughter to lure her into the bathroom, he wanted to do a science experiment with my daughter in the bathroom. That's what made her want to find out more. It was a science experiment. It was called water jello. She was to put her mouth on something and blow while he recorded. I am thankful that, so I've been told that when I knocked at the bathroom door, that stopped any progress that could have been made. Uh, um, 4 years is a long time. And yes, the day of the trial, my daughter was getting on the school bus and she stopped and she looked at me and she told me to tell him that she forgave him as a way to help her move forward. And I thought to myself, if my 10-year-old daughter can move forward and forgive him, then I possibly could too. But what they don't tell you is she might forgive him, but the nightmares that come after never stop. My daughter is soon to be 15 years old in a few months, and I still have to stand in front of a bathroom stall in a public bathroom because she will have a panic attack if I don't. A child should not have to go through something like that. A child should be able to live their life to the fullest. Over the 4 years, I have found cut marks up and down my daughter's arm as a way for her to release the pain that she goes through. We've been through numerous counselors trying to help me and trying to help her cope with things that have happened in the situation that we are in front of you today. He talked about being in public relations and communications, and this guy sitting in front of you asking you to release him was a security officer and a student for a college. Public relations, someone people are to trust and put trust in. And he took that and used that trust against my daughter. My only thing is, how many times has he done it before? How do I know he won't do it when he leaves? He was so comfortable with approaching my child. Makes me think, how many other times has he done it before? On January 17th, at exactly 7:56 p.m., I made a phone call to the Pineville Police Department that a mother should never make a phone call. And I have lived every day in fear. If someone tells me my daughter is beautiful, and she's a beautiful young lady, but I take offense to it because I don't know if they're sizing her up because she's cute and want to try something with her, or if it's just because she's a beautiful young lady. I'm asking for him to stay in jail. My daughter's not ready for him to be released. She's not. I'm not. I I don't want him out.
Thank you very much, Ms. McNulty. Thank you for the courage to come and talk to us today. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Mr. McKinney, is there anything you'd like to say before we vote?
Yes, I want to say, I do appreciate her for coming out and that right there, what she just said about the trust. That's why I couldn't forgive myself, because, you know, it did hurt, and I knew it hurted her deeply, you know, especially her family. But it also, you know, just couldn't move on, because it was like, man, look what the hurt that I've caused. You know what I mean? Look what's going on still after 4 years or 3 years, still pain, you know, and that does hurt. And even though I forgave myself, and thank God that she forgave me, it doesn't harm, but it still comes back. And that's what drives me to do better. I know that society's gonna look at me as a monster. I figured that she probably knows me looking at me as that. And I can't get mad at that. All I gotta do is respect, because why? I have made that mistake. I'm the one that did that, not her. So I can only take that, you know, as a hit on the chin, as a slap in the face, say, hey, you've done that. But the thing is, that's not who I am, you know, especially not now. And that's not what I'm looking forward to do. Even though me and her, you know, we do stay in separate cities, still the fear of me being released, it was gonna, you know, she was gonna have like trouble, but I guaranteed you on her, you know, I can't, you know, say anything's gonna just approve you all, but at the end of the day, I know where I'm at, you know I stand in the Lord, that I'm not that same person, that she don't have to worry about me coming to that city. You know, she don't have to worry about me, you know, but I do pray for them that they can still cope and get over, and pray for myself that can continue. So I want to thank you all for even considering me coming before the board, whatever the judgment is. So I'm very blessed and thankful. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. We appreciate you coming, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Jackson.
First, I'd also like to thank you, Ms. McNulty, for your input and for sharing you told us today, and we do appreciate that, and we take that into consideration. And I hope that at some point in the future, your daughter will regain her sense of security. We're here today to look at Mr. McNulty, look at where he is today, not where he was 4 years ago. And Ms. McNulty, you know, you not only took good programs, but you absorbed the things that they were trying to impart. I was really impressed that at no point during this interview did you ever try to minimize your actions or to deny responsibility. I think that shows a lot of growth. You went through the Steve Foyle Substance Abuse Program, which is an excellent program. You have completed Thinking for Change and Anger Management. All of those are excellent programs. And again, it's evident that you weren't just a body in the room, but you were really trying to learn and grow and learn about yourself and to see yourself honestly, so that you would not make the same mistakes that you've made in the past. You're a first offender, and you've had no disciplinary write-ups in the last 4 years. And so my vote today would be to grant your early release.
The weight of a mother's tears. God, I just feel so awful. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we have to hand over the scales of justice to other people. And this is what happens. You have to keep in mind that he hasn't served his full sentence. He's getting out early. But the little girl, this mom, they don't have a threshold to walk through and it's over. They have to walk through a dark valley of unwarranted anxiety and trauma.
With a condition that you have absolutely no contact at all with the victim and her family. That's just my vote, Mr. McKinney. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Freeman.
Yes, Mr. McKinley, you have done a lot of things since you've been in. And I do hear what the victim is saying, but I also think you're going to need that 1 year of supervision. If we wait till next year, you get out, you have no supervision whatsoever, you know, you're just totally off. But I think that you need that year of supervision with a parole officer to make sure you stay away from the victims, make sure you go to your sex offender classes. And also, I would like to add that I think you need to go to 3 AA meetings a week. So I vote for it.
Mr. McKinney, I want to reiterate all of the things that my colleagues have said. You really have taken to heart the programs that you've gone to. I hear real remorse in you for what you did and what effects it has had on both Ms. McNulty and her daughter. And again, I thank her for her courage to be here today to talk to us about that. My vote likewise is going to be to grant with the same conditions as outlined by my colleague. That is that you have absolutely no contact whatsoever with the victim or anyone in the victim's family, that you attend 3 AA meetings per week, and that you abide by all of the rules and regulations of the sex offender requirements, as well as any and all rules of your parole supervisor. So that's our vote today. Good luck to you. Thank you, Mr. Webster. The time is 11:22. Officer Holloman, thank you very much for your help today, and we'll be adjourned at Webster.
Thank you, Your Honor.